Hello there. I'm James Croissant, the senior producer at Informatech, and I'm delighted to be joined today by one of our keynote speakers at the Big 5G event, Nikki Palmer, the Chief Product Officer of Verizon. Nikki, welcome.
Hi, thank you, James. Good to be here with you.
Good. Nikki, in the first place, what are your personal top takeaways from the first year or so of Big 5G?
Wow, it's been a whirlwind of a year, I'll tell you that. Listen, I am so proud that Verizon is leading this 5G era. I mean, we were first in the world to launch 5G with mobility and a full end-to-end, smartphone access to the network. We were first to launch a fixed wireless product over 5G, first to launch mobile edge compute or MEC with our partners. And I think what I also like is what we focused on early is not just leading the industry and pulling our partners together, because really no one does it alone these days, but it's focusing on what's hard. I mean, millimeter wave, our ultra wideband service, and mobile edge compute, these are the tougher things. But guess what? These are the transformational things. These are the things that put the G in the 5G. So the generational change that makes a customer, whether it's a business, someone in the public sector or a consumer, say, you know what, this is different. This isn't just a slightly faster, or in some cases, not on our network, but slightly slower. Sorry, couldn't resist. Experience, but it's transformational speed. I mean, customers on our 5G network now in the cities that we launched, close to 40 cities, many more to come, are routinely experiencing 2 gigabits per second, and and in our lab we're seeing about double that. So there's more room to grow. So this is transformational, and that's what I am proud of when I look back at how we paved the way for 5G. We led with Standards Forum, we brought groups together, and I'm thankful for our partners and the way that this is turning out. We're in early innings. I would say we have a few home runs maybe on the board, but we're still early innings. And I think we're focusing on the right areas to make sure that it is a differentiated experience for consumers and businesses alike, and that we can truly live up to this claim of 5G being one of the technologies that ushers in the fourth industrial revolution.
Absolutely. I mean, it's interesting. Speaking of home runs, for you, what are the next most exciting 5G developments to look out for from Verizon?
The connectedness, being able to, have an Internet of Things that is, massively bigger than what we have today in 4G, and all of the other services that come and put them together in different ways in order to meet real needs and solve real problems. So I mean, listen, one area I would look at is we just announced with some trials with Pivotal on outdoor repeaters that can more efficiently extend the signal. We've just announced with Corning and Samsung some indoor 5G cell sites with millimeter wave that can be coupled with MEC to really provide a transformational experience for many enterprises. So, these form factors that may not be present, right at the launch of a new technology are now starting to come and really, exponentially improve the reach of the service. So you'll see that. And even things like we recently completed trials for integrated access backhaul, which may not sound very sexy, but to be honest, things like that will enable our engineers to deploy wirelessly first without fiber of the 5G network. And that just speeds, our deployment. So we're all about how do we get the value out there to consumers so quickly. Our standalone core, we have a test with our end-to-end standalone core, and that's working well too. So, there's a lot of little things that are happening, and, we'll just continue that drumbeat of innovation and advancing the technology. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously, a year ago it was all launch, the excitement of launch and all things around it, but it really sounds like the true excitement is going to be coming in the next year and coming years as all of those pieces come together and the real innovation starts to come forth into the mainstream.
Yeah, you really start to see some heft, I guess, or when you have not just the network deployment that we have, which continues to grow. Like I said, we've just got this machine that's moving, at warp speed to get more network out there. But you have devices too. So when I look at 4G, in 5G, the network and device, symbiotic relationship, which really needs to be there, I'm very pleased with our OEM partners and how we've been able to work together in order to produce flagship devices that have not just 5G, but transformational 5G ultra wideband in them. So yes, you have devices, you have network, you have form factors that are changing. It's really starting to move.
Exciting stuff. You've recently been featured in the 5G 100 2020 list, so huge congratulations for that. Can you tell us a little bit about the key innovations that you've been driving at Verizon and how you sort of earned that place on the list?
Well, who knows on that one, but the truth is any accolades that come under my name are really for the Verizon team at large and for the amazing team of talented engineers and technologists that I have the pleasure of working with every single day. So the congratulations goes to them. And I was happy to see two other Verizon colleagues on that list with Tammy Irwin and Hans Vestberg. So, again, I feel like the Verizon team is really leading here. Listen, we've got this machine that is deploying at scale. I mentioned that. In terms of innovation, we now have an innovation machine that I think is also deploying at scale. So if I look at just what we have produced, recently, let me take a COVID example. When the pandemic hit, we had, first off, I couldn't be prouder of the way Verizon is showing up in this pandemic in terms of helping small businesses and donating funds where they're really going to make a difference. And by the way, providing the connectivity that people need when they're working and schooling from home. So I just needed to say that because you can't talk about the pandemic and innovation without first saying, how impactful it has really been for many individuals and businesses. One of the things that we did is we had a company that we were working with, small company called Bookfilm, and they produce augmented and virtual reality type of content for children's stories, and just classic works. And we were working with them, but when the pandemic hit and the need for educational content, unique and different educational content, more of it really became apparent, we just fast-tracked them and we brought that to market in record time. So that's one example I'm very proud of. I could think about others in sports. I mean, our team has just innovated like crazy. We have this really awesome application that we call the AR Portal. And it's actually won some, Webby awards on the internet. And we've been able to use it not a few times. One for Thanksgiving Day Parade last year. We used it at the Super Bowl, where we coupled it with a variety of other augmented and virtual experiences and a multicam view of what was happening on the field that you could toggle between. So some really interesting and new ways to view live sports. But now when you think about what happens in a world where sports aren't so much live anymore, at least for fans, we were able to take this portal and use it again for the Indy 500 and transport users and customers to the Indy 500 and actually feel like they're in the car, feel like they're in the cockpit or on the side of the field and just see these different views and actually step into it and feel like you're there. So we will use that. That will come to market, more experiences like this. But it's that type of innovation that can only really be done with 5G ultra wideband on millimeter wave, that transformational, high speed, low latency type experience. That's really where we're focused because those things are hard. But when we solve them, we'll be making some real change for customers.
Absolutely. We've got the big 5G event coming up in literally a few days. Why did you decide to participate in the big 5G event 2020? And I think also, what are you most looking forward to with this year's virtual edition of the event?
Well, I got to tell you, there is just a huge appetite out there to learn about 5G. And that's from, again, the average consumer to, you know, businesses, society, regulators, et cetera. I think this provides a great forum to do that. So, and by the way, there's hype out there as well. So we love to be able to talk about the facts. What have we done? What is coming that we are sure about? You know, and what the future may look like. So, you know, it gives us an opportunity to do that. And there's just such an appetite out there to hear from industry leaders like Verizon that we're happy to take part in it. And we're constantly innovating. So it's exciting to have an opportunity to talk about what's new because it's really never the same story twice. And also, another thing that we've seen with virtual events, you're probably keen to as well, is it really opens up an opportunity to reach a wider audience. And you're no longer really limited to the time and the place of event. And we've started to see some of these videos get shared and reshared and reshared, and you know, really continue to reach people months after the event. So for all those reasons, we're really happy to be here.
Wonderful. Well, Nikki, thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing you again in a few days, and thanks again.
Great. Thank you, James.